Hello and welcome to the new edition of Foodocracy for Her. I'm Kalyan Karmakar, your host, and Foodocracy for Her is India's longest running podcast showcasing women in the food and beverage business. I took a bit of a break because I went to Calcutta to celebrate my mom's birthday and came back. And now here I am, all ready for you with a fresh new, interviewee and a very, very interesting person. Her name is Misbah Mitha. She is a fashion designer, but was and is known among her friends, especially her childhood friends, for her excellent cooking. And during the lockdown, she started her home chef services. And interestingly, she didn't box herself to one particular cuisine, but offered a range. And then she also sort of advanced herself technologically by doing dehydrated curry packs. And from whatever I gather, I think this is what life is for her now. But let's go and talk to Misbah and get to hear her story. So there's, so there's Misbah Mitha. So her surname, of course, sort of coincides with her personality. She's a very sweet person and very well known among her friends who are my friends for sort of feeding them. And also now she's come close to house. So we can even drop in. So welcome on board, Misbah. Great
Thank
to
you
see
so
you.
much.
And welcome back to Bandra. So there are two of us who are hosting it. So me and
Okay.
there's Baby Loaf. I'm
Wow.
not too sure whether he's going to wake up and ask questions. He's meditating right now in his low position. Maybe he'll like telepathically, um, you know,
ask me, ask me
yeah,
that he needs to.
yeah. So it's great to have you on board. And I knew of Misbah initially through our friend Manisha. Was she with you in school or college?
Yes, we've done 10 years in the same school together, and she's been a very dear friend of mine, and she's been an integral part of this journey of food that I'm doing. Because I used to very often cook food and send a
Yeah.
couple of my friends, and or they would come over for a meal, and they would always encourage me and tell me, "Why don't you write a book of your recipes?"
Hmm.
And because they encouraged me so much, I started a recipe chat where
Okay.
every time I made a nice dish, I would put it for my school friends, and they would even give me a feedback saying, "Oh, we tried it; it was
Oh, wow.
wow."
On
So
WhatsApp.
then, yeah, on WhatsApp, we
Okay.
still today have that recipe chat. And I think Manisha was instrumental in telling me that, you're good at what you do and you should take this forward.
Hmm.
And then the pandemic happened, and I, being a fashion designer, used to travel a lot. I used to do the length and breadth of our country doing exhibitions. Suddenly, everything packed up,
So tell
and
us a
I
bit
didn't know
about
what to do
your
with
tell us a
myself.
bit about your life before that. You said you were a fashion designer and you were
I,
traveling. So what
I
sort of work did you do for how many years? How did you get into this?
so, so I took it on from my mother, who was very
Okay.
creative. Both my parents were very creative, mom and dad. Dad used to do these Christmas decorations, and he used to even do window displays for people for these
Oh
five-star
wow.
hotels,
Wow.
with
Yeah,
his.
yes, it is.
So he was a very talented man, very creative. Mom was very fond of good clothes. She was a very pretty, good looking woman, very well turned out. So she always wanted to get into clothes. The minute
Hmm.
she realized me and my brother both have found our own way in life, she took on clothes. And she
Okay.
encouraged me. I was in college at that time. She
And what
encouraged
did you
me that why
study?
don't you just sit with me when I'm doing clothes?
And what
I
did you
was in
study in
Simla.
college? No, what subject?
I did my graduation. I did my graduation from commerce.
Commerce. Okay. So nothing to do
Yeah,
with food or fashion. Maybe
nothing,
running
nothing
business.
at all, nothing at
Yeah.
all,
Yeah.
nothing at all. But I used to help my mom, and she had these friends and family come home and buy her things, and it
Hmm.
was a small time thing. And then I finished college, and I booked a gallery at Beach Candy called Simrosa Art Gallery.
Okay.
And I just saved up a little bit of money and made like 50 garments, and they flew off the rack in the first day in like
Wow.
4 hours.
Wow.
That
First
really
exhibition
encouraged me.
50.
That
First exhibition
first
50
exhibition was
garments
sold out
in 1 hour
in
or
four
4 hours.
hours.
4 hours.
In
Okay.
4 hours.
Oh, but
So
less than
it
5 hours.
really, it really encouraged me that I'm on the right track and I can take this forward and I can make a business out of it. So that's how I got into it, and I've never looked back. It's just been a lovely journey. I've met lovely people along the way, because I'm dealing with housewives, I'm dealing with women one to one, and I don't want to put my product in a store where I don't get a direct feedback from my customer.
So it's
Your
mainly
people are either
exhibitions,
coming to
mainly
exhibitions, and
exhibitions.
people come to me by appointment. Oh,
And you said you traveled across the
I do
country.
a lot of,
So
I
so
do
you're a
a lot
Bombay
of
girl. So where all did you go and like to meet your
I do a
customers?
lot of I do a lot of shows in Delhi. I do Hyderabad. I do Bangalore. I do Chennai. Most of the metro cities I've done.
And did you find them to be different, like the customers in each
Yes,
city in terms of?
you need to understand the taste of every city.
Hmm.
India is very diverse with the kind of people we have and their complexions, the way they
Yeah.
dress up, what is their priority. So I think over the years I understood that gamut
And
and I'm
what sort
able
of
to cater
clothes?
to it.
And
So
wonderful. And what's
I do typically Indian wear,
oh,
which is like a shalwar kurta
wow.
or a basic Indian garment.
And even in Chennai and all, where the assumption is everyone wears saris. I remember once I'd
No,
seen an
I think
ad in for a sari in
I
Chennai with pockets. You know.
yeah, but I think now most of the cities, even the elder people who are 60 plus, who used to wear saris, have all moved to a shalwar kurta because it's easier to wear.
So my mom, when she was abroad, she'd worn Western clothes, but in India, saris all through. So during the lockdown second year, she was with my brother in Gurgaon. So
Okay.
then she tried out the salwar because it was just getting too cumbersome. And a lot of Bengali women do that, huh, traditionally. Like even when they
Yeah.
go on holidays, they'll borrow their
Yes.
daughters' salwars and all that. But so she said that
Yeah.
okay, now when I go back to Calcutta, it'll be back to saris and stuff. But then we encouraged her. We said, "You try. I mean, how does it matter? I mean, you're wearing a salwar at the end of it."
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
now she's got so comfortable with it. I must tell you, and it's very interesting how these connections are there. And sometimes we don't always know of this, but there are. So, for example, Manzilat Fatima, who is also a dear friend of mine in
Okay.
Calcutta, and she runs Manzilat's kitchen, and I had interviewed her towards the beginning of the podcast. And she's today in the food circle very well known for her Awadhi food, like the biryani and the galati and the nihari and all of that. And
Okay.
also she belongs to the family of the Nawab Wajid Ali Shah. Like she's, I think, the great granddaughter, and
Oh,
so therefore also that culture and stuff. But she also, like you, was a sort of fashion designer, and she had I think she had a retail store, and like you, she would focus on Indian wear. But I think like you also, she was inherently talented. Like it's not that she went to designing school. So
yeah.
she's doing food, and then there is Shilpa Gupta of Tapas, who was not a fashion designer, but she was an interior decorator, and then and she's from Bombay, and in the lockdown she started doing these uh, grazing tables, like they call it, and now so it's almost like these new careers. I'm just going to ask you one more question before we move into the food side of it, and
Okay.
so is that on the your side of it, which is the creation side, who are the sort of people you would deal with, like the karigars and
So,
the suppliers of material?
so what I
So,
do is I travel, like suppose I'm going for an exhibition to Delhi.
huh,
I'll probably finish the exhibition. I'll stay there for another 2 days and go and look if I get something different, some
hmm,
fabric which is not locally available in Bombay. Or if I do a Jaipur show, I'll go and source something. So I'm
wow,
not buying anything in bulk or anything in
huh.
wholesale, anything that appeals to my eye, which
And
I
who
want to
would do
create.
who would do your stitching and all that?
I have
Do
an
you have fixed?
entire team. I have an entire team of tailors and embroiderers and karigars which work out of my mother's home, which
Oh
is in
wow,
South Bombay.
yes.
Yeah, because
And
that's a bigger place. So it's like a
and
workshop for me.
and are they men or women?
Men.
So you've traditionally been working, well, no, because sometimes people also feel the face this issue of like, working with men, and them not sort of taking women seriously and all of that.
No,
But
I
that you've
think
sort
I've
of
been
been like,
lucky.
ah,
I've been very lucky. I have a
hmm,
fabulous team which has supported me all along. And I think our workers and our carriers make us where or what we are today, because they have to execute something which you have thought of,
yes,
imagined. It could be
hmm,
very creative, but they're
yes,
putting it down actually on the fabric. So, with
hmm.
due respect to them, today our brand does well, or people come back to me because my workmanship is good. And
And
that
and
all is thanks to the workforce that we have.
And what is your brand in the fashion side? Because I must say that I'm not that aware of that side, but you told me once.
My label is called Zebaish, and
Okay.
it is a designer Indian wear label. And today it is 33 years for me to be in the business.
Wow. And how do you spell that? Zebaish?
Zebayish.
And you're on Instagram and
Yes, I'm on
everything. And
Instagram.
and
Yes,
and that business is also alive, right? I mean, you're also
yes,
because
absolutely.
you did an
Yes,
exhibition
yes.
very recently on that.
Yes, I
Yeah.
was just very recently in Delhi and Hyderabad and
Oh,
Ahmedabad.
how
So
does it
last
feel to
one
get
week
back?
I've just traveled and come back. All
How
three
does it
cities.
feel? How does it feel to, I mean, travel, get back, whether it's food, fashion, how does it feel,
I really
to,
like it. I like
yeah,
to meet new people, and I feel every time you meet somebody, you
yeah,
absorb so many new things which just sitting in one corner you will never know.
true,
Every
true.
day is a new experience. You
No,
come across
true.
so many people in different walks of life, and I love it. I love to travel. I love to meet people, interact
Yeah.
with people, hear about their lives. It's really nice.
And I'm so happy you said this because, a problem which all of us are facing, and, whether it doesn't matter what profession, age, or, what one does, is this motivation to go out of the house. Because
Yes,
everything can be done at home, like you can work from home, you can call
yes,
things home. So
true.
especially the middle class, like, and we've got our fortress and castle, and there's so
Yeah.
to go out is so yesterday I did a food sort of trail of Mumbai with a group of business folks from Israel. So I've done it for them in 2015, and they
Okay.
approached me, and I said that, look, I'm not too sure. I've not done it through the pandemic. They said, no, no, we want to do it. And they wanted to do the previous times trail, which started with candies. But this was a Monday, so when they're shut. So I said, okay. And we thought of a new thing, a new trail. And then there were, 18 to 20 of them. And from a bus we came and stuff. And I don't do food walks now as often as I did once before. And that's a conscious call because I'm spend more time writing and podcasting and all that.
Yes.
But it
Yes.
just felt so good to be with
To be
people,
out.
to talk to them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and also like to see the appreciation. Like they went to Sapco and they said, "This is the best coffee we've had in India," or they went to Fresh Cats and they said, "This is so different from the Indian food which we've had."
Yes.
We're going to talk
Yes.
of that, and to Lucky and to have the kulfi and the pan, and with all of that. Now let's tell us that how did Tadka Tales happen from Zebaish?
So, Tadka Tales happened because I was walking outside my house and I
Okay,
met this friend of mine called Deepak Agarwal, and
okay.
he was also walking. And he's in clothes, he's an exporter,
So this is during the
garment
pandemic time. This is, I mean, we
during
are
the
still in the
pandemic
pandemic.
time.
We're still
Yes,
in the
he's a
pandemic, but
garment.
the lockdowns and social
Yes,
distancing and all that.
yes. He's a garment exporter, and I was walking outside, and he happened to tell me that, a lot of home chefs have come up, and, there's this common friend of ours who's also started catering, and she's doing so well. Why
Hmm.
don't you also start something? You've always been a good cook. And I went back that day and spoke to my husband about it and said, don't you think it's a very good idea?
Hmm.
And my husband is looking at me and saying, I don't know. I think you
Hmm.
should sleep over it. But
Yes.
me being me, I immediately went ahead with it, called up a
Because he
school
said
friend of
sleep
mine.
over it.
He said,
Because
sleep over it
if
and
he if he
think
if he
about
said
it.
if he said go for it, then you would have done the reverse. You said,
Yeah. So the minute he said, sleep over it, think about it, I called
uh,
up this other school friend of mine who's very dear to me, Hemal, and I said, "Can you come up with few nice names?
Huh.
I'd like to go ahead and start." So she
So
said, "When do you want?"
she's the writer
She's a
among you guys.
journalist. She's a
Okay, okay,
journalist.
okay,
She's with
okay.
Midday. She's a
Ah,
journalist.
so she's the
She's
writer.
been with Manisha and me in the same class.
Yeah,
So
so
I
she's the
call her
writer
up
among you.
I call her up and tell her, "Why don't you give me a couple of good names?"
Ah,
And she gives me a whole list, and then she asks me, "So when do you want to start?" I said, "From tomorrow morning." She said, "Really? Are you organized enough?" I said, "Yeah, yeah. I'll just start sending food to a couple of people to taste for me to get a feedback whether I'm on the right track." And I called up Manisha, and Manisha was
oh
completely
yeah, yeah.
excited. Completely
She's
excited.
so encouraging of people. She's introduced me to so many
So,
wonderful
so
people in food.
my brand name Tadka Tales was chosen by Manisha. I gave
Ah,
the options, and she said,
ah,
"Every time we come to your house, the food has a fabulous tadka.
wow.
So just go ahead and call it tadka. It goes with your personality also." So I
Ah,
think I just went by her word, and she helped me in this entire journey by introducing me to a lot of
no,
food
that's good.
people
And she
and
does that,
taking it
yeah.
forward. So it's been
And what was her
fabulous.
husband's reaction to this? Yeah,
Oh, he was
next
thrilled.
morning you said think
Yeah,
about it,
my
but
husband
you
is thrilled.
and what does he do? What does he do? He works
He
with you in the
was a
business?
banker. He's
Okay,
retired last year. He was a
okay.
banker. So
Hmm.
he's always been a corporate guy.
Yes,
So he
yes,
cannot
yes.
understand how you can come up with an idea and just implement it the next day.
And that to bankers, where they put so many,
Yes.
tests and rules and
Yes,
regulations and
absolutely.
all of that,
Yeah, yeah.
because it's such a sensitive sector. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And I'm glad you brought this topic up because there are a lot of people who are fabulous with food, fabulous cooks, and all of that. But somehow, and I don't know why, but they just feel that maybe cooking is not something for them to get into, or
I
either because they are housewives and they're not sure of working, or maybe like you, they have another business, or like a husband, they were in the corporate thing and senior positions, and they just feel that, and I'll put it very bluntly, that they just feel that maybe it might be a bit demeaning, or the
absolutely,
dignity of
absolutely.
labor, this and this thing.
But
But it's so
but
different. I mean, so tell us your thoughts on that.
I always feel that there's nothing demeaning in life, because when I was growing up, I had I was in a joint family.
Hmm,
My father had three unmarried sisters who stayed with us.
hmm.
My mom, my dad, my brother. And my dad always sat down. He was a simple middle class man, God fearing. He always sat down and told us, so long as you're not harming anybody, any kind of work which you do is fine by us. It just has to be, you should like to do what you're doing. So
How
food
to
was
how
something
wonderful.
I always wanted to do, but I never
Hmm.
had the time. My husband was
Yes,
very encouraging to anything I wanted to do. But because clothes took up so much of my time,
of
I
course.
never had the time. And the
And you
pandemic
enjoyed
came.
clothes. And you enjoyed
I yet enjoy clothes.
Yeah, it's not that you were in a job which you
No, no,
didn't
no.
like. Say maybe
No,
you were
no,
a
no.
banker which you were not excited about,
No,
but
no.
you
I love
enjoyed clothes.
clothes.
Yeah.
I love clothes, but I love
Huh.
food also. It's just that I could never do two things, and the
Okay.
pandemic gave us the time and the opportunity to go ahead and try it out. And when I
So
started
yeah,
initially, I was
how was that experience when you started, and it's a new field
so
for you,
I
new
I
type of
started with
customers.
I started with fresh food.
Hmm.
I used to initially, when I spoke to Manisha, she said, just make things which you're very good at, and just do like six things on a menu or eight things on a menu. So I'm very good with my biryanis and my butter chickens and my wraps and my
And the
sandwiches.
white chicken, the
White
white
chicken. So
chicken is
I stuck to tried and tested mom's recipes where I knew I won't go wrong. And
hmm.
everybody just seemed to love it.
And
Till one
but you're
day,
also doing a range, because you're doing biryanis and wraps and all
yeah,
of that, but you are
I'm
also
doing a
doing
lot of karai gravy,
sandwiches and
sandwiches,
Chinese and all of
salads.
that. So
Yeah.
what is it? What is Tarka Tales about? Because it's not just about tarka, right? Because then you won't be doing sandwiches
Tadka
and all of that.
Tales,
Huh,
Tadka Tales is all about what I ate as a child, what I've eaten growing up, And what are my mom's or my aunt's tried and tested recipes, which I love, and every time I've had someone come home, they've loved it too. So we know that it's a recipe where you can't go wrong. Each person
Hmm.
who's had it has had a fabulous comment to give. So I
Okay.
went ahead and
Okay.
tried those.
Huh.
Till I think I did that for a good 6 months. And then I have this very, very dear friend of mine, Priya.
Hmm.
She and me are like sisters. So her son was going to Netherlands to study.
Okay.
So she told me I need some food which he needs to take with him.
How
So
old was
I
the son?
thought of her son must be 20 and he was going to
Okay.
Netherlands to study.
Hmm.
So she wanted food dehydrated. So I
Okay.
tried out a few dehydrated packets to give him.
Huh.
And when I gave it to him and he tried it, and his friends, moms, those friends started calling up their parents and saying, we don't know from where he's getting his food, but we like the same thing.
From in Netherlands. His friends in
Yes,
Netherlands.
because a lot of
Of
Indians
course.
were studying with him there,
Yes. Yes.
from
Yes.
Delhi and from Calcutta. So I started getting very positive feedback.
And when you said
And
dehydrated food, what do you mean? Give us an
all
idea of
my
it.
gravies, all my
Okay.
gravies,
Okay. So
like
the
my
ones which I've tried. So
yes,
it's not the final dish. You're not sending a
no,
chicken
no.
curry, but you're sending the gravy to which you
And
add
you
whatever.
add the meat or you add the vegetable of your choice. I'm making you a Moglai gravy. I'm making you a coconut curry. I'm making you a Shahi korma. And sometimes for a child who's abroad, even if he doesn't add anything and he just carries,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
just gets his ready bread and he has
Yeah.
his gravy, there's a sense
Uh,
of satisfaction that you're eating home food.
yeah, and bread, or say you buy pita bread, which is like similar to
Absolutely.
roti. Then you're like,
Yeah.
and watching a
Yeah.
Karan Johar film or Yash Chopra film and crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
But how
realized
did you
that.
do that? Because okay, you've cooked and you've done clothes. But now how do you convert that into a dehydrated, I mean, not the clothes, the food. I mean, that's
So I
technology.
so I realized that I need to go on the net and find people who do dehydrated, who
Yeah.
have dehydration machines. I looked up three, four of them. I went and personally met them. And one of them I realized uses no preservatives. So
Okay.
he said, we'll do it at a freezing point with a particular technology where for 6 months this will stay outside the refrigerator. So I
Oh,
found
yeah.
it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I
yeah. Correct.
myself use no food color because this is a student community. So I
Yes.
started using dried beetroot powder for the tandoori red color. I
Wow.
use no MSG, so even if a child is taking 10 packets, the mother's assured it's home food.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
And
I've
that
tried them,
really
yes.
worked. That really worked. In fact, in the pandemic, I felt a lot of people didn't have enough staff. They didn't have their cooks.
No, no, some had no, we had, many of us had no stuff.
So
Yeah.
they started buying these gravies as a shortcut, quick fix meal where it was tasty. It didn't have preservatives, and they just loved it.
Like I remember, like the other day, I made your almond gravy. Was it the almond
Yeah,
gravy?
yeah,
Yeah,
white, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So,
White
so
kadai.
yes, white kadai almond gravy, and then we added water, this thing, salt to like the measure, and I
Yeah.
think I put chicken in and all that, and then it looked so grand. So I took a picture and said, "Let's show you." So I said, "Look, I made this," and they said, "Do you
So
want to know how I made it?" And then I
in
said that, "Okay,
all
this is how."
in all my gravies, I'm using a little less salt content.
Because it's also up to,
I'm,
but I think as long as you mention it, in fact, that's a problem which people have with the reverse problem with this packaged food, that the sodium content is very high. So if you have
huh,
these packaged upmas and all of that, I
and
didn't
I
realize till someone pointed it.
and I myself have high blood pressure.
Huh.
So I know that we don't need that much salt in
Yeah,
anything.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I've
yeah.
gone low on my salt
Hmm.
and I've let the student decide if they really need to add a pinch themselves
It's like
once the
if
gravy.
someone has more tikha and they want to add some chilies also or this,
Yes,
that. Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah.
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
So you were doing a fresh food line, and then you were doing the preservative line. So tell me, like fresh food, like you said that, okay, I'm going to get down today and start it. But then after that, when you're doing week on week and, diverse customers and diverse sort
Yeah,
of things, so you're doing Western, you're doing Indian,
yeah,
you're doing
yeah.
Chinese, but would it be right to say that this is a Bombay girl's food? I mean, I'll tell you what I mean, or maybe
I
a
think
sobo girl's food. But what I'm saying is that
yes,
yeah, you belong to a certain say Muslim community, right?
yes,
Which
yes,
community
yes.
of the Muslims you are? You are Khoja or
No, I'm a
huh?
Sunni Muslim.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
not that you're doing only Muslim food or only vegetarian or
So
only
it's
meat. So in
very
a way, it's like any of us in Bombay or any, especially in Bombay, I think people have a very diverse palate. You might be Marathi, but you'll have Chinese, you'll have,
yes.
there's that.
And it's very ironical that I, being a Muslim, I'm a vegetarian.
Yeah, yeah. So it's mainly chicken in your thing. Sometimes I tell you that put some red meat, put some this thing.
So I'm basically a vegetarian.
All your
And
life,
I've
veget.
grown up with a lot of school friends of mine, all who were vegetarian. They were all
Hmm.
kachi bhatya, more or less. So they fabulous vegetarian food. So I developed a palate for it. So even today, when I cook my non-veg, I don't idly taste it.
So how do you then? I mean, it's okay if you're doing it for friends, but if you're retailing it where people are putting money,
It's just
even if they're nice people, they
it's
will then
just
say,
worked. It's just
yeah,
worked. If my
wow.
husband is around once in a while, I make him taste a bite just
But
to know if I'm on the right track. If it's a big order, like 30 people,
but see,
40
a
people,
husband will never tell the wife that you've added too much salt or too much
he
mirchi.
will. He will.
He
He's
will.
a foodie. He will.
Okay,
He will.
brave man. But so you've been vegetarian all your life, or did you like, for
I've
example,
been
our
vegetarian
mama?
all I've been vegetarian all my life.
But rest of the family, like your parents and
Hardcore non-veg.
oh, so why were you vegetarian if you don't mind my asking? Like for example, our mama who's Parsi, he turned vegetarian because of animal
There's
love
no
and
there's no real reason. I think I
huh
just grew up with friends. We had a lunch room in school where all of
huh
us would get our food from home and sit together and eat.
wow
And everybody ate vegetarian and it was very appetizing, very nice to see. And because I had an inherent health condition,
okay
I was born with a cardiac problem as a
oh,
child. So
okay
my father always encouraged me saying vegetarian is very healthy. So
yes
I
less
stuck to
load
it.
yeah
I stuck
wow
to it.
and you're saying that this entire thing of being like looking at food which sort of suits your health also made you a bit empathetic towards like creating food which is also like honest and
Yes.
not yeah
I'm not very much, I'm a person who's not very fascinated by anything canned or tinned or I'd rather have
because
a
you
very
make your
basic,
sauces also like the Szechuan sauce and all that you make
yeah, I
yourself.
like to make my dips. I'm not a person who'd go out and buy something
So
ready if
you
I know.
we had the chicken mayonnaise sandwich from you, the mayonnaise you made,
Yes, yes.
and there was also a bit of like spice to it. It was a bit of reddish
I
thing,
added a
and
little bit of green chilies to it
yeah,
because
which
I
which
like,
is a bit like a chicken jungli. My late
yes,
father-in-law used to love it, and
I
the Bombay chicken jungli is onion, mirchi. Yeah,
yes, yes, yes.
yeah.
So I just added a teaspoon of my Szechuan sauce to the mayo and I
Uh,
added some finely chopped coriander and green
finely
chilies.
chopped. Yes, yes, yeah.
So that
No, but it is
really,
so tasty. And how do you source, say, your breads and all that? You can't get it from outside, right? You're not baking breads,
yes, no,
but they're
no.
so soft and all that. So you are
So
these
I
people you've been
bread,
using at home or for the business you sourced out?
no, so I get my bread from out, but when I was a child, I used to go to my Masi's house, who used to make amazing mayonnaise sandwiches. I never
Hmm.
ate that. I was a vegetarian, but she always told me that if you cover it with a damp cloth after it's made,
The
the
sandwich.
moisture. So
Ah,
make my sandwiches, I keep them covered with a damp cloth till I actually deliver. That way
ah,
they stay soft and moist.
yeah, it was so nice. So now tell me that. So it's been what? How many years of a business? 2 years now, the food business.
2.5 years.
2.5 years. So that's what I'm saying. That okay, that initial josh and enthusiasm, you did all of that, and that time the demand was also high, like you said,
Yes,
with people not
yes,
having staff and all of that.
yes.
But to sustain and grow it over 2.5 years and still continue with it because when everything else is opening and your business has started again, touch wood. To sustain yourself, to keep yourself motivated, how are you doing that?
So I feel really nice when I send food to people when I get an order and they send me a WhatsApp with a picture of them eating it, with a nice note saying it was so nice. It was like home cooked food.
And they do
So
this by
that's,
themselves. It's
oh
not that you're
yes,
asking them for
no,
feedback.
no, no, and they're
And
unknown
they're
people.
not like
No, no,
Instagrammers and all that. So they're
no,
just,
no, no.
yeah,
They're
yeah,
just
yeah, yeah.
normal people who ordered, who
Normal
probably
people.
have come into a who I don't know.
Huh.
This strange people are just calling me up and ordering it and giving me such good feedback that it keeps me going.
Wow. So it's feedback. I must say that because I've been blogging in next month will be 15 years, and
Wow.
and it's by myself, and I think 85 or 90% of what I do is non-commercial, not because I want to, but it's just that that's how
Yeah,
it is. That
yeah,
is not that
yeah.
I write only if I've got assignments, but often people are so kind, and you don't know them, and they might put a comment over there, or they might message you and they say that it reminded them of some memory or their granny or whatever. So and that sort of I think keeps people going, because of course one is the business side of it, and I'm sure you see that, but that and how have you ensured that the business runs smoothly and grows, and it's also like
So
profitable
now that
hopefully, that in terms of your suppliers and also day in and day out. I mean, do you have a routine for yourself? Do you ever get bored? Aaj mujhe
yes,
nahi banana hai sandwich,
no,
tum order
I
kar
never
lo.
got bored of cooking. I love cooking, but
Okay.
I've made it in the sense when I do my exhibitions and when I travel. On those days, I don't take orders.
Hmm.
But if I am in Bombay, I plan it in such a way that tomorrow I'm going to do my butter chicken. So I'll call up all my clients who love butter chicken, make a broadcast list and tell them tomorrow I'm doing my butter chicken. And I'll start getting orders right away. So that keeps me excited and high that, oh, now the restaurants have started.
But
Life is back
still,
to normal and still people are ordering.
yes, yes, yes. No, I like those chicken mayo sandwiches. Like, I'm a big fan of the candy sandwiches, the chicken sandwiches, and
Yeah.
your sandwiches was different in terms of the flavor.
Yes. Yes.
Having said that, it was equally soft and completely distinct. And
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't. And I've had a lot of chicken sandwiches, including the one Pune guys get very excited about Mazuri and all that, or
Yes.
vendors in Delhi.
Yes.
Yeah. So now I know there's another good source for chicken sandwich and a different one. So like
Yes.
Mohammed Rafi and Kishore Kumar. I mean, they were both like
I like to add a little bit of change to a normal. Like if I'm making a mayo sandwich, I'd like to add a little
there has
Szechuan,
to be a
little
bit of
something.
misbah. There has to be a bit of
Yeah,
misbah in it.
gives it
Yes.
my signature
Yeah.
style.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Same here. I mean, of course. I mean, I'm saying all of this like I just like throw things around in the kitchen, but um, what about the business part of it? Your fashion business you've run for how many years? Before this,
my
I mean,
clothes, my
huh?
clothes. This is the 33rd year.
Wow, 33rd. I think you said this. Sorry, I'm not
Yeah.
looking. So I mean, you've run a 33-year-old business, and going ahead, and you've done material sourcing. You've got carigars whom you pay, and
And
exhibition halls and all.
most important, I've enjoyed my journey.
No, that's
It's not.
and now you have
I'm
two
making.
journeys.
I'm
Now
making.
you have two journeys which
No,
you're enjoying.
you have to be blessed to be able to make money
Huh.
and do which give you joy. And I'm
Yeah.
one of those people who's working. It's not, I don't feel I'm working because I enjoy every moment of it.
And so yeah, that's what. So what I want to say or ask is that you've had the experience of running a business and you're this thing. So and of course is going ahead. So did any of that learning come of use when you got on this food thing? Because see, at the end of it, it's also a
So
business. So you don't want to like run into your
I uh,
reservoirs and all of that. So
my food journey became very easy
huh,
because I didn't have to look for my clients. I had ready clients who had faith in me, who had
huh,
bought clothes.
huh,
So all I needed to do is go back to that broadcast list and tell them
huh,
now in I'm doing food.
huh.
A lot of them ordered to try it out and they loved it. And then by word of mouth, it went. So the initial customer base of 100 people, I didn't need to look for.
Wow. And see, if your food is so delicious that you eat a lot of it and you put on some weight, you can always then design a way in such a thing that you loosen it and you will not
Come back to me.
realize.
You'll come back to
So
me for more clothes because your earlier ones get
yeah,
damaged.
this is a wonderful way of business, huh? Clothes and food.
Marketing. Yeah.
पीछे से like I'm thinking from a guy's point of view, पीछे से jeans को थोड़ा loose.
So, so I was very happy that I didn't have to look for customers. I
Yeah.
had steady people who would come to my house before the pandemic to buy clothes. Those same people I sent out a whole list saying now I'm doing food. And
Huh.
it began like that. And then thanks to people like you and Manisha, Cyrus Brocha, and
Cyrus is
everybody,
a fan
Kunal
of yours.
Vijayakar, I sent food to a lot of people, and all of
Yeah.
them were kind enough to post it. Like I met
I think
Roxanne
Kunal
now.
had your sandwiches. I remember. Did you send
Yes,
Kunal
and
sandwiches? Yeah, yeah, yeah. He had,
I did a
yes.
show now. I did a show at the Imperial. It was a very nice show where I had participated in the food category.
Okay.
So there's this
Oh, very
girl
recently,
called
right? A week back or something.
recently.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So there's again this food blogger called Aparna. She goes by the name What Makes Appy Happy.
Happy of
She
Aparna.
she
Yes.
is so helpful. Such a genuine person. She put me on to the show. She curated the food part of it. And
Okay.
my response was
I know,
fabulous.
seen the video. Yeah.
I had just done my dehydrated. So
Hmm.
there I met Roxanne and she
Oh,
walked
yeah.
up to me and she told me, Misbah, I'm Roxanne. You don't know me. You've sent me food
And she's very
because of
helpful.
Manisha.
Roxanne's also very helpful of,
Very helpful. Very sweet.
yeah, yeah. No, the world of food loving people. I mean, I know that sometimes, people trash food bloggers and Instagrammers and whatever, but there are a lot of lovely people out there,
And
and
very
uh,
helpful.
yeah,
Very helpful.
see, if some of them are, running their career out of it, so kya, I mean,
That's
like for
fine.
example,
That's fine.
you say you've done fashion, which is a career, but because of that, your karigars, the people you bought stuff from, the exhibition guys, everyone gains, right? I mean,
And
so
I spent a good 8 to 9 years working with this NGO called Maharashtra State Women's Council, where I
MSWC,
used, yeah,
MSWC, yes, yes.
MSWC, where I
Yes.
used to help them host a show called Smart Mart at the Bombay Racecourse at the Tote Restaurant.
Huh,
And we had around 70 designers pan India who would come and participate.
huh,
And the money would go towards charity. It's a very good, very transparent NGO with a
hmm,
fabulous group of women working. And I just
hmm,
happened to meet them and join them. So those 8 years were also fantastic, where we did those exhibitions and we collected good money. And
hmm.
then it slowly got, we got out of it because they started participating in the marathon and they were making good money there also. We started, and I also got busy with my career and taking it
Huh.
ahead. We slowed out, but that phase was also fabulous.
Wow. How do you now do the balancing act? Because you've got two babies in a sense. You've got your clothes
Yes.
baby and food baby. So,
So
like
uh,
loaf and nimki.
thrice
How
a
do?
week,
Huh.
thrice a week, I do catering.
Okay. So when you say
Thrice a
catering, what do you mean?
Like if somebody wants to order a biryani and they call me up and say, next, when are you doing your biryani?
Huh.
So I will chalk out a day, like say Thursday, I'll do my biryani. So everybody
Huh.
who had asked me for a biryani, I'll
You'll
put it
tell
on a
them.
broadcast list and I'll get my orders. Or
Mm.
like today, for instance, I was doing sandwiches. So I put it on my stories.
Oh,
So
wow,
people started
wow.
calling up. So I choose 2 to 3
And and
days.
and 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 in non-veg, is it only chicken or do you also work with mutton and fish? I think
I do
only chicken.
mutton. Not
Okay,
so much fish, but mutton, yes. A lot of
okay,
mutton. Like our
okay.
biryanis are mutton. I do
Because
a
I've
dry
had your
kadai.
chicken white pulao.
No, even
Uh,
the mutton I do. I do mutton,
okay. Huh.
but I don't do so much fish. I do a lot of prawn though.
Huh.
I do a lot of like butter garlic prawn with
And
some stir
prawns are
fried
actually
rice.
easier to work with,
Very easy. Very
from a
easy.
food eater's point of view, also I think people enjoy. See, because yesterday we were having this thing, and there was surmai. So surmai, they were generous big slices. So after a while, to have a whole slice, there's this
Yeah.
prawn like you can keep eating.
Yes.
And
Yes.
if cooked well, it has to be juicy, not too hard, and yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. And you do catering thrice a week where you sort of make specific dishes.
I curate a menu which I feel
Huh,
a lot of people have asked in the last 1 week to me, when is your butter chicken being done? Please let us
huh,
know a day prior.
huh.
So I chalk out a day where I'm doing only butter chicken, or I'm
Actually, do
only
you do
doing
any vegetarian stuff? Given you're a vegetarian,
I do a fabulous palak paneer and corn biryani.
Wow.
I do very nice
So
paneer
palak,
wrap
paneer, and corn
and
biryani is
corn
separate, or the palak and biryani?
together. These
Oh,
three things
wow.
in one
Wow.
biryani. It
Is
has
that a
one green
unique
layer.
Mitha recipe, Mitha house recipe? Or is that a combi? I've never come across that.
Now, when I make it, I'm going to make you have some for you to taste, because there's one layer which is a
Huh,
green layer which has palak and corn,
huh.
and one layer which has kadai paneer. So
Wow.
it's
So
a
then the kids will
fabulous.
also eat. All the kids who don't like palak and all that, they'll say, ah, biryani, then I'll eat.
Yeah, and it's a hot seller with me because people say it's better than any non-veg biryani that you do. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
do that. I do a lot of pineapple raitas with it, moong raitas with it.
Huh.
So I do that in the vegetarian. I do a veg burger. I do a veg kadai.
Hmm.
I my dal khichdi did so well in the pandemic. I was like fluxed.
Yeah,
It's
and
so
it's a
delicious.
dal khichdi as a dish is so much comfort, whichever part
So
of
I would send
country
dal
from you.
khichdi with a bowl of moong ka raita, and everybody would just love it.
Oh. So green
Moong,
moong ka raita,
moong and dahi ka raita,
as in green moong,
green
the
moong, sprouted moong,
sprouted. Oh, yeah.
sprouted moong,
So,
sprouted moong.
all of that, like, a sprouted green moong raita and all of that. I'm just thinking from the point of view of, a lot of people who are now health conscious because of, like, for example, I had diabetes because of COVID, and then
Yeah,
brought it down by healthy eating guided by a
yeah.
dietitian, and of course, Manisha's meds. Then I went off the meds. But again, I've started eating chocolates and cakes and all of that, like especially Kana's birthday, my birthday, mom's birthday, and then I was stopped. I was asking my therapist, is there anything psychological which can be done? She said, no, discipline. I think I'm just going to throw it out of the fridge. But no, but what
Nothing
I'm
can be
saying is that,
done psychologically.
people have all these salads and all that. But I'm just thinking that if you were to offer fresh dahi raita and with no sugar and
No sugar.
sprouts, it would
No
be
sugar.
such a lovely evening snack, because evening they're telling us try to avoid, have breads and all.
So
Instead have sprouts or have
my
put eggs in it.
my
Wouldn't that
dahi
be
ka
such a lovely idea?
my moong ka raita
Hmm.
has a pure ghee bhagar,
Huh.
like a chalk, which has Kashmiri mirchi,
Huh.
which has white urad, which has
Oh.
rice,
Oh.
kadi
So much
patta.
of
So
pulses.
it's so tasty.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
So,
It's like a meal in itself.
have you ever thought of it that way? Because like I'm just thinking, like, from a lot of people have this issue that, okay, breakfast, lunch, and dinner I can figure out with the diet
But what
thing.
about my
What a
mid
evening
snack?
thing,
Yeah,
because we are so used to in the evening having, some sort of carb element, either a bread or a frankie or
yeah.
a, poha. So maybe, Misbah, since, and this is my, uncalled for suggestion, but maybe, maybe, kya kehte hai? Maybe it's because of my interest. But there's a Hindi word for it, isn't it? But sparse? No. Anyway, but I'm just saying that, and also given the fact that you, through your life, have had to live carefully because of your childhood
Yes,
condition. But
yes.
just, and maybe you can talk with Manisha, because see, Manisha is a foodie, or I can even connect you with my dietitian and see that what are the things which, especially one of the biggest problems now is actually blood sugar more than
Mid
heart, or
snack. Yeah.
heart and blood pressure is blood sugar. So, if you, and you do such tasty stuff, like from the moment you said, because I love doing a lot of stuff with hunkered. So I can just imagine how nice it is. Then, you put sliced egg into that, it becomes a non-veg version. You just
Yes.
think of that. And whenever people think of healthy, immediately kale dalta hai, amaranth dalta hai, ye tofu dalta hai. But it's like, for example, there was nothing in the house today, so our cook makes a nice sukha green moong. So I told her, make that for lunch, and jawar roti and some karela. So, and I mean, she makes it nice. So I'm just saying that versus a quinoa salad. I'm only talking as you interview, but I just, yeah, yeah, but no, but
I'm uh, I'm
huh.
somehow not so much of a quinoa person.
No, no. So you are someone of what's available, and I
What's
think that,
available?
that's the end of it. What we enjoy, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and so think of that. The raitas,
Like I
even
like
your
to even
sandwiches. Um,
sometimes I like to even make a whole masoor salad.
hmm.
A brown masoor,
It's so
soaked and
nice, and
yeah.
with even regular vegetables, sort of like cucumbers and so
Yes,
salad
yes.
leaves. Or like if you do your wraps, I don't know if you will atta roti and all, or jawar
I
bajra,
try to,
because you're
and
so
now
talented.
I've started moving to my wraps with like a lentil wrap, you
Yeah.
know,
Oh wow. Like a chilla, moong dal ka chilla sort of
like
thing.
a not only a mung dal chilla, even a masoor
Wow.
dal
Yeah.
ka
Yeah.
basic
Yeah. Yeah.
wrap,
Yeah. I must
so
try
that
that.
the
Yeah.
person is not eating so unhealthy then.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
must try that. I must try that.
yeah, yeah.
So Misbah, now tell me, I was discussing this with upper crust and this thing. We did a home chef studio in the last event, and we are doing so. That was the first time, and we are doing it again this one. And they made a very interesting point, and I agree that
Okay.
last time when we did it, the home chef story was a lockdown story. That how during
Mm.
the lockdown the people created, and you're a wonderful
Yeah.
example of that. But now lockdown, everything is over. They're telling us that WHO will soon say, pandemic is over, and all of that. So now it's every man or woman for themselves. Now there's no sympathy, no, there's no this thing.
Yes.
If someone wants to eat, they will choose between restaurants, cloud kitchens, home
There's
chefs.
too much to
Yeah,
choose.
yeah.
Yeah.
And from what I gather, you want to continue with both your babies, kapra and khana.
Yes.
The
Yes.
roti kapra. You should get into real estate. Then full
That's the only thing
roti
left
kapra
now.
makan ho jayega. But tell me, so what are your plans to, continue, go ahead? Like you've got dehydrated, you've got your
I
weekly
want to,
menu,
so I did
and you're
once
still a
start
one
with,
man army, right? I mean, you have
I'm still one
help,
man.
but otherwise, for
Yeah.
chopping, cutting, and all that, perhaps.
So I started stocking with this store called Mazala at Linking Road.
Yeah, Carling, near the Nike
Yeah.
showroom. Eh?
Yes, yes. I know the owner well, and they are like family friends.
Yeah, they were
And of
very
course, I
interesting.
was put on to them and got the suggestion of stocking with them through Samir and Saloni Makani.
Of
And it
FDI.
was really nice. I went for 2 days. I did a live demo there. And then I started stocking with them. So I, in the long run, want to start stocking with people.
Okay.
Like
So these are your
not
dehydrated
just in
packs.
dehydrated, not just
Huh.
in Bombay, but
Huh.
in a place like Goa where people have a lot of homes and they come for like 2 days, places like Alibag where
Yeah.
people want to just do something quick, but it has to be healthy at the same time.
Yeah.
No preservative, no MSG, no
And good
color,
quality.
good
See,
quality. So
health is also quality.
I'm
People
looking
think
at
that health is
stocking
only this thing, but it's also quality.
quality. So I'm looking at stocking with places where people have their second homes, like a holiday home, and they're there just for like 3 days or 4 days. They don't have a whole paraphernalia of staff. They want to whip up something. So I'm trying to grow in that way. I want to start stocking my dehydrated food that way.
So do you think going ahead, the dehydrated will become bigger portion of your business and versus fresh?
I think so. I think
Okay.
so.
From a growth point of view. No, because
Growth
one
point of
also
view,
has
and
to
I'm
see.
concentrating also on that more.
Wonderful. No, that's great because even in the business, and you've run one for 33 years before this one. You also know that after a while, like for example, food walks. Like I used to do a lot of that when I started off, but now it's not something I want to concentrate on. And I'm also
Yeah,
15 years
yeah,
older than them, so
yeah, yeah.
I don't have that energy. But okay, so any last words from you? Given the fact that you're a businesswoman of 35, 36 years, out of which 2, 3 years is also food, to
I
people who want to start off, women or even otherwise in food, that you're
I
learning
just
what
feel that
works.
anything you want to do, take a chance and do it. Don't sleep over anything. Don't wait for tomorrow. The pandemic has taught us, do everything that your heart desires, do it today. And if you're genuinely good at what you do and you're very hardworking, there is no looking back. You just have to be very transparent with people you're dealing with. Yourself, you have to be very genuine and transparent with, and things just flow.
How wonderful. So basically, don't listen to Mr. Mitha, listen to Misbah
Listen
Mitha.
to your heart. Listen to your heart.
Because
And
he
if
had
your
told you
heart
to
tells
sleep
you,
over it.
yes, if your heart tells you, go ahead, just go ahead.
But like she said, he's also a big supporter of her. So let's
Very big
not.
support. You can't, I can't be doing business for 35 years if my husband has not been supportive. So he's been fabulously supportive.
Yes, so that's for us men. Okay, so absolute pleasure talking to you,
Same
Misbah.
here.
And
Same here.
and
It's been
folks,
lovely.
and so
Thank you
folks,
so much for having me on.
No, no, it's my pleasure. I've spoken with you, interacted with you in the beginning of the lockdown. It's just maybe I was waiting for you to come back to Bandra, even though we are doing it in Zoom. But folks, first of all, if you're interested in Indian design wear, then go and check out the Zivaish page and see where she's doing her exhibitions and all of that, or at home. And for the food people, Tadka Tales, Tadka, Tadka Tales on Instagram, and also Misbah said that she's got a broadcast list, and people who are like going abroad, just take our dehydrated packs, take lots of them, and then start becoming an
And
Indian
come
home
back
chef.
with feedback for me. Give me good
Become an
feedback.
Indian home chef. Say, you know, or, I mean, you should also have the business sense. But thank you so much,
Thank you
Misbah,
so much. Thank you.
and
Pleasure.
thank you for feeding and people such wonderful, pure, honest food.
Thank you.
Best wishes.
You've
Thank
been
you.
a very big support in this journey of mine. Thank you so much.
No, no, nothing. It's just all your work, but pleasure.
Thank you. Okay.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.